So now we're going to simplify some circuits. Unfortunately, this is very hard to do without the chart in front of us. So I'll do the first one referring to the chart. I'll actually write down what congruencies we're using. And then in part B, I'll show you a different way of simplifying it using a truth table. So you pick whatever method you like the best, is totally fine by me. So in part A, we have P or Q, that quantity, and not P or Q. Notice both portions have an or Q. Similar to as if this were an algebra class, what we are allowed to do is what appears to be factor out that or Q. If we factored out that or Q, the first term would just be a P. The and stays there. And the second term would be a not P. But then we factored out the or Q. I'm going to use different letters than what's in the chart, but basically what we just did was we did distribution, it would be called in reverse. I'm going to again use different letters. A or B and C is the same thing as A or B and A or C. So the A or gets distributed to the B and also to the C, and the and goes in between the two. That's what happened on the first line in blue there. Next line, we have P and not P. Well, here's the thing. P by itself could either be true or false, which means not P is the opposite. So no matter what P is, we will have the sentence false and true or true and false. In either case, this is always false. So P and not P is always false. So then we're left with false or Q. Well, in order for this to be true, an or statement is true if either part is true. Well, the first part is false, so we can't rely on that one. So then we have to rely on the second piece, which is Q. Well, false or Q will be true only when Q is true. So all that matters is Q. So in other words, what we just did was we simplified the original statement, P or Q and not P or Q, simplifies to be Q. So the P did not matter at all, just Q. Whatever Q is, so is the entire statement. So that one's a little more abstract because we had to use that chart and we had to use some distribution in reverse. So instead, you might prefer to do it via a truth table. Totally fine. So just like before, we have two unique letters, P and Q. Oh, I got to make some lines here, don't I? Which means we need 4 rows. We'll need a P column. I'm going there. Oh, I did the wrong color. I'm so sorry. We'll need a P column. We'll need a Q column. From left to right, we need a P and P. We need a not P column. We need a not P and Q. And then we have everything P and P or not P and Q. All right, let's fill this in. By now, you should be very comfortable with the first 2 columns at least of why it's written this way. Okay, and then maybe make my highlight here. So this is unique. We are putting P with itself as an AND statement. So an AND statement is only true if both parts are true. So true and true is true. False and false is false. And not P goes back to the very first column there. Not true is false, and not false is true. So we're going to need the not P column we just made, and then we also need the Q column that we made previously. And we're going to AND these together. True and false is false. False and false is false. True and true is true. False and true is false. Huzzah! So to finish this off, we need the P and P column, the third column, and we need the not P and Q column, the fifth column there, and we are going to OR those together. So remember, OR is true only when both parts are true. Oh, I lied to you. When either part is true. Just seeing if you're paying attention. So true or false is true. True or false again is true. False or true is true. False or false is false. So to use a truth table to simplify a circuit, you have to look for the pattern. Where have we seen before this pattern? True, 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 false. True, 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 false is the same thing as P or Q. So assuming the first two columns are set up the exact same as every other process we've done, which that's why we're doing it always the same way, then we can look at the last column and say, hey, true, 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 false, that looks just like true or false, which means our original statement, P and P, or not P or Q, simplifies to is the same thing as P or Q, which is much easier to work with.